Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Movies Worth Seeing. They made us laugh, they made us cry. With every beginning, there is an end. We're looking for movie endings that left you so satisfied that, similar to after an all-you-can-eat buffet where you just get home and chill out, spread your legs, and just fall asleep on the couch. Whether it was because the main character learned their lesson, an evil villain was vanquished, or a plot twist was excellently executed. Now, today's episode is very special because I am joined by award-winning filmmakers Austin Scott and Josh Urquhart from the Pre-Production Meeting
got
podcast.
That name spot on.
Absolutely.
Thank God. There you go. Good stuff. Thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah, no, pleasure to be
that.
here, really. Josh more likes ambiguous endings and that kind of setup, whereas I'm more into endings that, you know, they didn't really back out. Like, there wasn't a convenient little plot development at the end that saved the protagonist or the villain and stuff like that. Like, what you would expect to happened.
In my perfect world with filmmaking, there's a balance between satisfied and wanting more. I think the best kind of movies are the movies that cause a discussion afterwards, because you can leave a cinema watching the new Marvel film, Thor: Love and Thunder. I know you're a big fan of Thor: Love and Thunder.
Why?
But if you...
Why did you have to bring that up?
So see, that's the thing. People watch Thor: Love and Thunder, they leave the theater and they forget about it. Whereas Inception, we're still talking to this day. Did it continue spinning? Did it not? And I think those films that leave those ambiguous endings up for interpretation create a bigger legacy than those that you might see once and forget about. And I think
100%.
those are the films, especially with me in creating, that I kind of want to do, and some of the endings that we'll get into today.
Austin, you brought up like when a plot development comes at the last minute.
Yep.
My first thought was like, what do you think of Jurassic Park when the T-Rex just pops out of nowhere and saves everyone?
Stuff like that I cannot stand. But to a degree. When stuff like that happens and you have that moment of like cheer and joy, then that's totally fine. But then when there's something like, for example, if you've seen Star Wars Rogue One, all hope is kind of lost towards the end of the film, and you're thinking, okay, if
Are we doing spoiler warnings, by the way?
Yeah,
We're just going to spoil the ending.
Rogue One came out a good while ago.
Yeah,
We're fine.
They've done what they came to do and revealed the flaw in the Death Star. And then the Death Star rises over the horizon and destroys the planet. And then there's no ship that comes in to save them at the last second. They follow through with the ending. And what they did, they sacrificed themselves for a greater cause.
What I am getting from you is you like endings where people die.
Oh my God, yes. Go into your other one you were about to say.
Or they're abandoned, but I'm definitely getting a sense that you like death.
Now, I might butcher the name of the Korean film I watched. Night in Paradise, I'm pretty sure it's called. It's about a gangster. He starts off trying to put that life behind him. And then he goes back to his his mentor, his handler. He's loyal to him and he's been taking care of him all those years post his gangster lifestyle. And he comes to the farm where the handler is retired to, and then he takes him on all that kind of stuff. They go to this place where he comes across a little girl who is going through her teenage years, trials with drugs, boys, like all that kind of stuff. And then she goes down a downward spiral, and he kind of takes her under his wing and protects her and all that kind of stuff. And then gets to a point in the film where her whole family gets slaughtered by the gangsters that are trying to get to him. And so then he goes on a warpath to get back and make up for it and all that kind of stuff. And then it gets to a point where they eventually get to his handler's house. He then goes in to save him, but then he kind of accepts that this life, there's no escaping it kind of deal. And then he dies. And then...
Of course.
then the protagonist of the film that you're on board with, it dies, and then you're kind of like, where do we go from here if the protagonist is dead? And then we switch perspectives to the little girl, and then she holds a grudge and has like vengeance towards this gangster crew that you despise. You hate them. You're like, oh, they slaughtered her family, killed the protagonist. So you just want them to have their comeuppance. And then in a wonderful scene, I'm going to sound like a psycho, but
I'm actually
too late.
Regretting my choice starting this podcast.
In a moment where you go, yes, like she arms herself with some guns and then goes to the restaurant that the entire organization is eating at because they're all loyal to the kingpin of the thing. And then she just mows them all down inside the restaurant, and you're like, yes, they got it. She got her back, like she got him back, and then you're left with that moment of like,
everyone.
yes. And then it really hits you when she goes to a beach and all the cops are getting there to get in. You're like, all right, well, she's going to go through trials and all that kind of stuff, and then she, in her own way, she takes care of herself. I'll put it that way. And they leave you with that feeling of like what needed to be done was done, and vengeance was fulfilled. Yeah, I respect them not backing out of what they set up, and they did. There wasn't some miracle like another handler's going to come and then we're going to train you up, like that kind of arc kind of thing. It was kind of just like they stuck to it and left you with that feeling.
Josh, what have you got?
Like I said, I like the ambiguous endings. So anything Nolan. Inception kind of changed the way I look at movies and changed the way I make movies in general. It's that discussion that is caused and that discussion that is ongoing after the movie ends.
What did you think was the ending?
I kind of don't want to even make a solution in my head. Yeah. On top of all the other crazy stuff that happens in that film, I think it's expertly written. The structure is incredible and it's so unorthodox. Another one of my endings that I absolutely love, and this is my favorite film of all time, La La Land. I love the movies that deep dive into the psyche of a relationship. The way that movie ends, some would classify as a sad story. I think it's the most beautiful ending of all time because both characters, both protagonists, have kind of reached their goal in their career, and although they didn't work out, they've still created so much possibility and achieve their goals in life. And unfortunately, that's the harsh reality of someone trying to get into the industry. I guess you can say that ending is kind of ambiguous because that last look that Emma Stone gives back on Ryan Gosling, and it's like that kind of look of hope and that look of what if? What if that look is a look of love? What if that is a look of, satisfaction? I'm happy where I am at. You won't know. You won't know, and I think that's what makes that movie ending great. That's what makes Inception movie ending great. And in general, that's what I think makes movie endings great.
I did like La La Land. Actually, you reminded me of... did you guys ever watch The Butterfly Effect?
No, but I've heard so much about it. I know what it's about.
Austin would like it because it's dark as...
Okay, get me there then.
The premise of The Butterfly Effect is time travel through traumatic memories. The main character uses memories that he's written in his journal and can travel back to them as he reads them out. As the movie's going on, this guy keeps traveling back in time, trying to fix little things, comes back to the present, and it's much worse. Like, he gets his arms amputated when he tries to save someone.
Wow.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, this is so much worse. So it's a wild movie.
That's an Austin film.
But
right there.
I just want to clarify real quick. That's not all I watch. I promise. There's other endings out there that really hit with like the family meanings, your happy endings, all that kind of stuff.
Like Kill Bill. You love Kill Bill.
Shut up. No.
he goes through all these different time periods where like he never ends up with the girl of his dreams. He can't work it out. He can't find an alternate reality where he's with this woman. And then there was actually two versions, two different endings. One ending was this guy realizing that if he takes himself out of everyone else's lives around him, that everyone else will have a happier life. So he actually goes back in time to when he was being born,
right,
and strangles himself with the umbilical cord.
Bro, that's so dark.
And
There
then,
you go.
But then you see that because of his death, everyone around him lives a happier life.
Oh, bro, that is so sad.
So that was the director's cut ending.
The studio cut was different, I'm guessing.
The Hollywood ending was kind of similar to La La Land, where he walks past his love interest, but they don't know each other because he's gone back in time and just done something where he's not involved with this woman ever. So then when they go back to the present, he walks down the street, he's looking suave, successful, sophisticated. He walks past her, they look back at each other, and then they just keep walking.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, if they never meet, they both have better lives.
What if,
The
bro?
what if?
It's the
What
what
if.
if theory.
Exactly right.
All right, I will give you guys what my favorite movie ending is.
Please, please.
The Truman Show.
Oh,
Great
great
flick.
film.
Jim Carrey gives a fantastic performance as
Absolutely.
Truman. He's a man adopted by a corporation to live a life as an unsuspecting prisoner. A reality show he doesn't know he's the main star of. So the ending itself sees Truman finally escapes his fake reality when he overcomes his fear of water and sails straight to the edge of the world and finds a doorway, an exit out of the false reality.
Yep.
Right before he exits, though, the creator of the show pleads with him, don't go, you don't want to go out into that world. And Truman just delivers his famous catchphrase.
Yeah, what is it? It's Something
Good afternoon, good evening, and good
Good
night.
night.
Takes a bow, and it's the ultimate like just fuck you moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you see Ed Harris playing the creator of the show just losing his shit. Just from an acting standpoint, Ed Harris is like a roulette wheel of emotions. He's pleading, he's desperate, then he's like smug and arrogant, and then he's just defeated. He's agitated and fucking loses his shit at the end.
Yep.
It's a fantastic.
See, I wish they showed us what happened after.
Yeah.
That's my only
But
criticism.
But that's what you were getting at before, is like where people would discuss it. So after seeing that ending, people go, "Oh my god, what's his life like going to be like?"
Yep. I'm a hypocrite. There
If
you go.
if he's adopted by this corporation,
Yeah,
does
that's
that
true.
mean they have like
That's
legal
true.
ownership of him? How would that work? How does he back out of that? Like it could have
That's
been a
very true,
whole
yeah.
sequel.
That's the thing. If you don't make a sequel, you keep
the conversation
the
going.
conversation going.
Exactly. Other thing is you've seen Truman overcome his fears, which was the main thing. He was scared to death of sailing because of his dad dying, which he thought was his fault. He's learned to uncover the
yes.
truth. All the main ingredients are there of like a great triumphant kind of achievement. Another thing that's really great about the Truman Show ending is so many subtleties. For example, you got the audience that are watching everything unfold and they're
Yes.
cheering for him to get out and escape. But then as soon as he escapes, you got the audience members just being like, "Whoa, yeah, that's great." What else is on?
Yeah.
Totally undercuts the ending. It's now more relevant than ever because in social media and everything, whenever you see something impressive on TikTok or whatever, what do? You swipe to the next video. I want to see something better.
That's his generation. Just needing more stimulation. Even when we're clipping like the clips from the podcast and putting them on Instagram, is you're editing like even the slightest bit of breaths out to make them more choppy to feed this generation's attention span.
Yeah.
It'll be great to see, like, from when I started doing this, my snippets are like 60 seconds, 50 seconds. And then as the years go by, it's like, all right, now I'm down to like a 2-second clip where
Literally.
it's like,
Great man.
Yeah, great man. Can't even put is because everyone will lose the attention span. So you got to say, great man.
Just like Kevin Malone in The Office.
Less word.
Less word does more trick.
Why waste time? Say lot word when few word do trick.
That's going to be movie reviews in like 2030. Or
Yes, absolutely.
even 2023. It'll just be
Yeah.
like, great man. Subscribe. Yeah, so that's my favorite movie endings. I don't know if you guys picked a movie ending. So you were La La Land, right?
No, that was Inception and La La Land. Honestly, I would say the Inception ending for me better than La La. Oh, it's not bad. It's just different. But in terms of impact on the industry and me, Inception. How
Like-
about you, Austin? What's your ending?
I probably lean more towards the Rogue One.
I'm kind of curious if they made a Rogue One 2, which would be a horrible name for a movie.
Rogue 2.
Rogue 2, yes.
Rogue 2.
But I mean, it's still shit. But if they made a sequel, would it undercut the greatness of that ending?
It definitely would, because that argument can be said with prequels as well. If they did anything that undoes what we've already seen, then it just takes away the moments that you felt with that. Well, you know what's coming because you know what happens.
Well, they have just made a Rogue One prequel. And/or.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
It's hard to make a prequel have an ending that people didn't see coming because they already know what happens.
Exactly.
You know that Anakin is going to become Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He's what?
Sorry, mate.
But no, so that's my point entirely is, you know, if they made a Rogue 2, they would kind of undermine the brilliance and excellence of Rogue One.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
All right. Well, that is the show, guys. Favorite movie ending for me is Truman Show.
Yep.
Austin is Rogue One.
Rogue One.
And
Inception.
Josh is Inception. If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel at Michael Pictionary. And you can check out the podcast on Spotify. For anyone that wants to check out the pre-production podcast, where can people follow you guys at?
You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at the Pre-Prod Pod, or you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, or your streaming platforms on the Pre-Production Meeting. Thanks very much for having us, mate. Appreciate
Been
it.
an absolute pleasure. I've had a ball.
I second that. See you later.
See you later.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah, there you go.
That is a perfect way to end it.
Yes. Give this man an Emmy.